Hello again, Yaksamash, and welcome to Wrench Reads, Trilogy of Morgalla, Diary of a Lonely Demon, number 14. If this is the first Wrench Reads you've watched, click the on-screen annotation appearing right now, go back to the introduction and start there. And, as always, the link to the Amazon page of the novel I will be reading is in the description box below. So, it's been a couple of weeks. Sorry about that. Kind of a long story as to why it's been a couple of weeks. I tried to lend this book to one of my friends through Amazon's loan system, and it just didn't work. It wound up in the file being tied up for a couple of weeks, and I can't read it on my device if it's tied up like that. So, put me back a couple of weeks, but you're really not missing much. The reading today, excuse me, it's tedious. But it's not necessarily just tear hair out bad, and my phone just hates me. Not really much in the way of an introduction today either. So, but I would like to say a few things. Specifically, thank you for the folks who have been showing up to the Friday readings of, that we've been doing as a group. If you're interested in learning more about that, go ahead and go to the Morgalla Sucks Facebook page. I'll link in the description box below if you haven't seen that before, where I give essentially contact information, and we get together as a group and do a group reading of, well, not the first book. That would make these readings superfluous, but the second book, Shadows of Hell. We read sections of that as a group, comment on it in real time. It's a lot of fun. We laugh, we cry, we drink, we get a bit rowdy and loud. It's fun. And so if you guys are interested in doing one of those with us, come by the Morgalla Sucks Facebook page and get the information. Yeah. So I hope to see some more of you there. But just as a note to my followers who actually watch this video, I might not be able to do it every week, every Friday at 7, because I have a life. Or I attempt to have a life on Friday nights. I usually can do everything after we're done with the reading a couple of hours in, but it's not always going to be the case. So if you want to run these without me, feel free. If I say that I'm no longer or not going to be able to do it one week, just get the group together, hold a non-video call with the group. Helps to have a good connection. So that's my suggestion to you guys. If in case I'm not going to be there, because I don't need to be. I mean, it's literally just reading from the book and laughing at the rank stupidity and amateur writing that John displays kind of callously in that book, as well as this thing. So, all right, that's all for introduction. I might as well get started. We're going to be learning a little bit more about Morgalla today. We're starting Chapter 5, I believe. Yes, Chapter 5, Boring Meetings. And a little bit about the connection between Morgalla and Delilah. So yeah, awesome. Great, sweet. Thank you for coming by. I hope you enjoy this video. If you do, rate, comment, subscribe. You know the drill. And again, if you do comment, I'll try to reply as best I can. So yes. Right. So Chapter 5, Boring Meetings, in which not only do we learn a little bit about Morgalla's history with Delilah, as well as her history kind of overall, but we also learn that Jasper has a real problem with authority, and we learn a bit more about his asshole nature. So, anyway, let's get started. They towered over her so high that she did not know what Wow, that's a bad start. I'm going to start again. They towered over her so high that she did not know they were alive at first. She peered up with lilac eyes through her black hood as her orange hands gripped the plush elephant as large as she was. This new power she was discovering told her things about other demons that she did not have to ask. Not everything, but enough about what they were currently feeling. The four that surrounded her were somewhat afraid, but determined to do their duty. Today their duty was her protection. They were in uniforms of black, leather trimmed with gold symbols. Though they were the same species, they all appeared different. She could not see their faces. She thought they were so tall, but in reality she was very short. 4 warriors of the greatest skill were charged with her protection. Yeah, okay. She held the elephant tightly as she looked on with concern, though she had a great feeling that no harm would come to her from these 4. She was still not sure why she was here. 2 more figures entered the chamber, one dressed in extravagant robes decorated with gold. His hair was long and curly, and his beard was the same. It was white for his age, and the deep wrinkles in his scarlet skin gave more clues to how ancient he was. 4 horns were atop his head, coming through the thick black hair. His pink eyes looked down at the child before him, and she could not return his gaze. She looked down at the marble floor, afraid to look at these strange beings before her. The souls presented to her were quite alien, and she did not want to know what they were feeling. Looking at the marble floor, though, would not help. "Lord Udo," the servant said, "this is the child, but of course, fool." "Yes, yes, Lord," the servant stammered. Lord Udo looked down upon the child, his fingertips together on his chest. "So you are the one, he pondered and smiled. "Do you speak, child?" The girl said nothing, for she had nothing to say. "Look upon me, young one," Udo commanded. She could not explain why, but she felt an urge to gaze at him, regardless of how afraid she was. Do you know your father? Do you know your father? Question. The girl shook her head. He stepped up, and she wanted so much to be away from him, to be away from here. He is a powerful being, the most powerful next to the Dark One. You are most fortunate that you have his blood flowing through you. You will grow to be powerful and take your side at your father's side, but until then, your life is in danger. The chamber door opened and a figure entered. Dressed in black, her features concealed. Surely it was a woman by the way she strolled in with such confidence and delicacy. I don't know. The little one felt a pair of eyes on her, but she could not see who was peering down. The person was happy to see her. Such joy filled her heart. "Hello, little one," the figure called in a soft voice. The child gave a small smile. "You are very lovely indeed," she continued, as she lifted her hood. "Do not be afraid, young one, I shall not harm you." Scarlet features were then presented, pale red scales on the woman's face. She had white horns at either side of her head at the temples. Lips full and vibrant were black and shone in the light. Her hair was the most beautiful she had ever seen, flowing long and white. Flickers of blue shone upon her radiant locks. The yellow eyes that looked upon her made the young girl gasp. Her words helped, and the young girl felt her soul. She felt happiness and joy. She was excited to see her. Lord Udo spoke, but the woman did not look at him. Her gaze was on the orange-skinned girl. "Mistress Delilah, do you swear in the name of the Dark One to watch over this girl? To protect her? To teach her our ways and give her the power she will need in the coming years?" "Yes," she said, smiling and exposing the glistening white fangs beneath her black lips. "A name. She needs a name." "Indeed. Something grand," Delilah said. "Something that means something." Yes. I have given much thought to this, and have decided upon a name that will honor our Lord Zorach and the Dark One as well. Delilah's gaze never left the young girl. She rolled her eyes briefly at Udo's grandstanding, which made the little girl give a slight giggle. "I have searched through the ancient texts in languages as old as the girl's father, and I have found a name that... ... He rambled on to the annoyance of Delilah and the confusion of the little girl. Delilah knelt down to her, close enough so that she could hear. He can talk a bit too much, can't he? Delilah whispered, and winked. Delilah made a couple of funny faces that caused the little girl to burst out in laughter. You know, I have never thought about having children, the crimson-skinned woman went on. But seeing you and the potential that you have, the potential that I shall see you fulfill. Let me read that again. But seeing you and the potential that you have, the potential that I shall see you fulfill. I swear to you. Morgalla, Udo bellowed. Delilah replied, looking back at the child. The child's name. From this day forward, you may all know you as Morgalla. During Udo's vain rambling, neither heard the meaning of the girl's name, something from a long-dead language, but to Delilah it did not matter. She looked back at the little girl and smiled. Morgalla. Morgalla awoke and gave the command for her diary to open. And this is all in italics. Dear Diary, my full report on Earth is due today. It's not worth their time. Finally, they'll get off my back. But still, I was at a bar, I was at a bar last night. Never again. Every single guy hit on me. I just made them go away, but it was really annoying anyway. There was this one guy, though. I thought he was a demon, too, sent by my father to check up on me. He's done that a couple of times before. Turns out he was a human, and none of my powers would work on him. It was like staring at a blank wall. Clearly he had a soul. Clearly. But I could not feel anything from it. Only a powerful demon could do that, or maybe a human could, but only if he knew what I was. He was cute, though, I guess. Maybe I should have talked to him. I'm such an idiot. I'm going to call it there. A bit of a... that's the section. It's kind of the first... well, actually, it's the second paragraph break. There was one at the scene change between Morgalla waking up and writing in her diary and then the one where I'm stopping, but I'm done. And, well... There's more of a reason for me to talk about this section than some of the other ones, despite it being essentially just a lot of very tedious, very wordy, and very kind of subtle, or supposed to be subtle, kind of plot devices and hints that are being pushed through in this section. But let's go back and I'll do my once over as usual, and I'll go into the exacts. So this is obviously a flashback where Morgalla is a little girl. We don't know how little. We don't know if... we know very little about age, about where she is, about, if she looks like a demon or not. And that'll get to be important here in a minute. There's, obviously, I made it kind of clear, there's a grammar issue in... a couple paragraphs in, she held the elephant tightly as she looked on with concern. Though she had a great feeling that no harm would come to her from these four, she was still not sure why she was here. So, this child obviously knows a little bit about where she's come from. She doesn't know where she is. We don't know we don't know where she's been up until this point. We assume this is a child that's able to, get around enough. And they talk to her as though she understands language, so she's probably old enough to speak. I'll get to it. We have this Lord Udo guy described where he has four horns atop his head. We don't know if they're symmetrical, asymmetrical, or if they're even, more than just, nubs. This book, I swear. The souls presented to her were quite alien. As compared to what? Looking at the marble floor, though, would not help. So you're the one, he pondered and smiled. Do you speak, child? The fact that the character Morgalla here is being treated as kind of like a youngish child, more than a toddler, someone actually able to comprehend speech. And again, we'll get to that. We get a bit more explanation about the hierarchy of hell and an implication about the quote-unquote Dark One that comes up in the book time and again. He is a powerful, this is talking about Zorach, he is a powerful being, the most powerful next to the Dark One. So there is a hierarchy of demons, and the Dark One is not quite isn't like a deity. It's more of an actual being. It's more of an actual person or thing than just an abstract concept or a deity. You will grow to be powerful and take your place at your father's side, which is not true. We'll see that through the rest of the book. Zorach Morgalla is not going to be ruling next to Zorach. Morgalla is going to be used as a pawn in this whole mess. So, to take over Earth. Morgalla is a pawn. She's not going to be ruling at her father's side. And another completely redundant description of Delilah, who we've already had described before. It looks like Jasper rips off the unbreakable vow from Harry Potter when Delilah walks in. Do you swear in the name of the Dark One to watch over this girl, to protect her, to teach her our ways, and give her the power she will need in the coming years? That strikes me as like almost a direct ripoff of the unbreakable vow. We get a little bit more of John's patented hilarious dialogue in this. A name. She needs a name. Indeed. Something grand, Delilah said. Something that means something. Something that ... means something. Yes, yeah, that would... Yeah, it's as though John couldn't figure out anything better to say. So it's like, oh, it's something. We should name her something. Something that means something. Though, if you want to look up a lot of your standard given names tend to mean something. Well, for instance, one of my... for instance, I have a friend named Ian Sokol. Sokol means falcon. A lot of names have meanings, and it's silly. Anyway, I'm splitting hairs. I have searched through the ancient texts in languages as old as the girl's father, and I have found a name that ... So there are languages that are actually out there that are not, English, even though everyone on this planet speaks English instead of demonic, which is silly, as always. Delilah made a couple of funny faces, and then we have Udo giving her the name Morgalla. And this is the next section, we have a contradiction. I was at a bar last night, never again. Every single guy hit on me. I just made them go away. In the last section, not every guy could hit on her because all of the because everyone there were coupled up. And it was said in the last section that everyone there was coupled up aside from Jasper and Morgalla. So it's consistency, John. Consistency. And closer to the end of that, it was like staring at a blank wall. Clearly he had a soul, but I could not feel anything from it. If you can't read a soul, if it's impossible to read a soul, how do you know for sure he has a soul? That's an assumption. Only a powerful demon could do that, or maybe a human could, but only if he knew what I was. So the concept is less crazy than it might seem. It's not as rare as Morgalla said. Oh, a demon could do it, or a human if he knew that Morgalla was listening. So it's not this ability that Jasper has given, or John has given Jasper, is not rare. In fact, it's common, and it's stupid. He was cute, though, I guess. Maybe I should have talked to him. I'm such an idiot. Yes, you are. So, the biggest issue I have with this section is the age at which this is supposedly taking place with Morgalla. Morgalla seems to be at an age where she can comprehend languages, which indicates a couple years of age at least. Why didn't she have a name already? We learn that Zorach came into possession of Morgalla through some means after she's born. and I'm not going to spoil too much, but we don't really know much about it other than that. So where would she have been living? What was she doing beforehand? Was she living on Earth? Because if she was, if there was any indication that this character had some tie to the humans, Delilah would immediately have disowned her. Because later in the book, we have Delilah essentially turn on Morgalla, a complete 180 turn, that has her, jonesing for Morgalla's head, jonesing to kill her later on, because Morgalla is half human. And it's something that's completely out of place for Delilah to just say, oh, well, just throw my hands up. Oh, she's a kid. She's a child. So, yeah, this entire section just smacks of inconsistencies. It smacks of inconsistency. It smacks of just completely, it's silly. It's stupid. The whole naming thing. We don't know why she's being named, or because if this was a kid that had lived on Earth for... Okay. I'm sorry. I'm all over the place right now. Let's break this down. We have two options, more or less. I'm splitting this into two possibilities. Either she lived on Earth before coming to Hell for a period of time, or she didn't. If she did, she would have probably learned to speak English, okay? However, she would have also probably remained mostly appearing human, unless the demons have some kind of human... unless demons look human before a certain age. If that's the case, okay, there is no indication that happened. Plus, she has this little... the pink elephant that she uses as her security blanket. Where would she have gotten that aside from Earth? Who would have gotten that for her aside from a human parent or human mother? We learn later that her mother is dead. Or she was brought up in Hell. In which case, well, she would probably know demonic more than English. She would probably appear to be demonic. And it wouldn't... And the introduction where she's being guarded by these 4 guards, and this is the girl, implying that she had come from, Earth, wouldn't actually be there. So, for the time being, I'm going to assume that Morgalla came from Earth. Therefore, there's a plot hole right here. How did she look? And why does Delilah not understand what she's getting herself into before she gets herself into it? Well, so, yeah. Okay, this is a shorter video this time, but I'm done. I'm all over the place. I'll see you next week. We'll do another one. Thanks again. Talk to you later. Na zlorano. Na zdrowie. Peace.